Hello everyone, we're going to talk about table editing, about all the different keyboard shortcuts you can use, as well as the scripts tab to make it really easy to edit lots of table entries at the same time. So I have the GUI started up. I don't have it connected because all the buttons are grayed out, and at the bottom it says that they have a little red icon and says not connected. I'm just going to plug in the USB. USB is connected, and the very first thing I'm going to do, of course, is read. So I'm going to hit the read button, grab all the data from the unit. All the tables will populate. All of these settings will populate, and we'll have all the values from our unit that we need. So let's zero out this table. So right now we have well, I can show you. So these are all color-coded as they go up to 100. So 100 is going to be red, and your close to 0 is going to be a dark blue. So you get this nice rainbow pattern over the chart. As you see with these little pop-ups here, we can click to rotate the graph. So we can, if we have a graph that's hard to view, we can rotate it entirely to try and view the backside, just to make it easier to see what you're doing here. So I'm going to zero out this whole thing, so we can select the whole thing, and we can just hit delete. Delete. So when I do that, it's going to set all the values to 0. To edit individual values, you just type in a number. You can hit tab to go to the next one, or you can hit the arrow keys, which also do the same thing. So I can put in a bunch of numbers here, and as I enter in the table values, the chart to the right will update, but none of these are going to be written to the unit until you hit write. So as soon as I hit write, it's going to write this table to the unit, and it's going to become active. So whatever, depending on the RPM and your boost pressure here, it's going to set a particular value. Now some tables have different values, like this guy is going to be the duty table, is going to be the active control, and its vertical axis, so this axis here is going to be analog input A, but we can set this to different values to depending on what you're trying to do here. So back to the main table. So I can enter a bunch of stuff in here between 0 and 100. These are in percent, of course, so this is your how much duty you have. So between, say, this value will be 20% duty, so it'll be active 20% of the time. This one will be 90, so it's active 90% of the time. I just entered in a bunch, but I can copy these. So Control C is copy. I can Control V to paste, just like Excel. I can paste a bunch of these. I can select this whole group again. If I paste it and there's not enough room to paste it all, I'll try its best and just paste the first couple values. I can rotate the graph around to see exactly what I'm doing here. You can see the nice little angles going on here. Copy this whole thing and overlap over old values, all that stuff. So copy and pasting is pretty obvious. It's just like Excel. You can also copy and paste from and to Excel, so I can edit all my tables in Excel if I really wanted to and paste them into here. That's totally fine. When I select a bunch, I can right-click and do a bunch of operations. It shows you the keyboard shortcuts here, so I can cut them all, remove them. It's all blank, and then I can put them somewhere else. Control V. So that's pretty straightforward. Now, the more advanced thing, of course, just so we're clear, every time you edit the table, it only takes effect until you write. So right now I'm editing the table, it's not in the unit until I hit write. As soon as I do, it's going to write that to the unit, and that will become active. So one of the more advanced things that's kind of cool is we can select this whole thing, right click, and use scripts. So the scripts allow you to quickly go through every entry in the table and set a value depending on whatever you have in your script. So it's all in JavaScript. You don't really need to know JavaScript. We have some basic examples here, but if you want to learn, it's pretty straightforward. For instance, this is kind of the helper script. It shows you all the different values you have access to and all the different math functions you have. So you can see there's tons of stuff in here. It's actually pretty powerful. In this case, what we're going to take is whatever value, the old value in the cell, we're going to add 25 to it. So this script takes effect to whatever you have selected. So I have the whole table selected, so it's going to go through every entry in the table and add 25 to whatever value it is. This is important. For these guys, it's all going to be 25, but for these guys, it's going to be the old value plus 25. It can't be more than 100, so 100 is still going to be 100, but for instance, this 30, when I hit OK, it's going to jump up to 55. You can see that all these values are 25 now. So I can select more and do the same. So every time I use this script on a particular area of the graph, it's going to only apply to that area. It's going to add 25 to that area. So now I got a nice little stepped pyramid type thing going on here. I can show you some more different scripts. We have a bunch of different options, but you can change these scripts to be whatever you want. You don't have to add 25. You can minus 25. You can divide by 25. Say so multiply by 2. So we're going to double everything in this. It's going to jump it right up. So now everything's 100. We can also divide by 2. Everything's going to be down to 50. Let's multiply by a fraction. So now everything's 12. So now we have this odd shape going on here. We can continue a bit further here. Let's just set it to a static value of 0. This is, or let's do 1. So I can press delete, it sets it to 0. I can use a script to set it to a particular value. Now everything in that little area I had selected is now 1. Let's select all this stuff. Now for the scripts we can invert. So invert's kind of cool. What it does is it will invert things around 50. So any value that is 50 is going to stay at 50. Any value below 50 is going to go above 50. And any value above 50 is going to go below 50. So I'll show you what this means. Do you see this right here? There's like a nice bowl shape. If I hit this, it's going to invert the bowl. So now low values become high values, and high values become low values. So we can do the whole thing again. Let's invert the whole table. And this helps if you screw up. So if you accidentally have, say, values starting low and going high to this direction, we can, and you're like, oh, whoops, I have it inverted. I have it the wrong way. You can just invert them, and then suddenly they're all correct. So we can see here, it's a nice way of fixing your mistakes or doing really complicated bold type patterns. I don't know why you'd want that, but you know, who knows. Another really cool thing is gradients. So let's select the whole thing and delete everything. So we start from scratch here. So gradients allow you to do nice smooth patterns starting from one value and going to a different value. So the two simplest ones are horizontal and vertical. So let's show you horizontal. So the horizontal allows you to start at a minimum value and go to a maximum value. And the left or right parameter allows you to change whether it starts low on the left or starts low on the right. So here we have to increase left to right, so going from the left to the right, we want left to right equal true. Okay, so let's start it at 12. That's good value, and not quite go to 100. Let's go to 98. Now when I click OK, it's going to populate the table with values starting at 12 and going to 98 in a horizontal left to right pattern. So let's select a little region inside of here. And like we did before, we can invert it. So you can see here, low values become high values and high values become low values. So it's a nice way of inverting. Let's select another region in here. Let's do a different gradient. So let's do a vertical gradient. So let's pick our minimum value of, say, 23, just whatever value, and 78. So now I want it to decrease from bottom to top. So I want my high value to be at the bottom, my low value to be at the top. I have to set this to false. So all you have to do is just select that and false. And when I click OK, it's going to be high value at the bottom, low value at the top, from 78 to 23. And you can see here we got a pretty complicated little pattern going on here, but you can see the power of gradients. They allow you to easily smooth out all your values and come up with a default set. And probably the most useful, if I just select the whole thing, it's going to be the diagonal gradient. So a diagonal gradient allows you to start at a corner and go to another corner. So it's not just vertical or horizontal, it's both. So let's say I want to start at, say, value 3 and go to some fairly high value like 89. I want to start low at the bottom left. So to increase bottom to top, set bottom to top to true. So I want to leave that true because I want to increase as I go up and boost pressure, and I want to increase as I go up in RPM. So to increase left to right, I want to leave left to right to true. So when I do this, it's going to recalculate the values and start low in the bottom left and end high in the top right. So this is a great way of just filling out your table, and then you can edit these parameters as you tune your engine to kind of the gradient allows you to kind of set default parameters. You can change these after you've done some testing. So yeah, that's scripts. Feel free to mess around with those all you want. They're all editable. So as you select some, you can just type in here. You can type whatever you want. You can do your own functions. You can share functions. All they have to do is just copy and paste your function into this thing. If you have any ideas or suggestions for improvements to our functions, feel free to let us know. You can find us, our website at Torqbyte.com, or there's going to be links in the bottom of this video to direct you to there. And yeah, please let us know what you think, and if you have any suggestions, definitely let us know. Thanks, and that's all.